What's going on? We back, Motor City Sports Talk. We in the building. Y'all know what it is, man. Talking some Detroit Lions with your boy CJ Goodfella narrating. And going through the comment section and going around social media, people believe that the Detroit Lions offense is not a problem. And they point to the stats. Oh, they were 6 in scoring and this and that. And the defense is the biggest problem. And I beg to differ. I understand the defense had some problems, especially when Haloti Nada went out the lineup. They couldn't stop the run. They was looking good when they had a run stopper Nada earlier in the season. They was a defensive stoppers. They was clamping down on a lot of different teams. You know, they held a hot case Keenum, who torched the Bucs for like 300, 400 passing yards in 3 quarters. They held him in check. He wouldn't even have scored any points if Miles Killebrew would have caught that interception in the end zone. People forget that, and people forget once Nada went out, the team started to run really good on the Lions, had success in the running game. You know, a lot of people forget that part of the season. They forget that Jim Bob Cooter was a horrible play caller. He couldn't figure out how to actually run the ball with any type of success or power or finesse, nothing. You know, people forget the Lions continuously put their defense in bad positions, going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, you know, or not sustaining drives, and their defense would make defenses go 3 and out. They'd hold them and bend and don't break, you know. They'd finally break after the offense couldn't consistently sustain drives. You know, people tend to forget that part about the Lions offense. They look at the stats, so they 6 in scoring, they dead last in running the ball, but we can throw the ball. It's most important to run the ball, especially when you're talking about going into November and December and going into January and hopefully into February for a Super Bowl, because you're going to have to go outside if you don't get home field advantage. And going outside and on the East Coast, you know, with storms and water, slushy type of snow and stuff of that nature, if you don't run the ball, you're not going to be a championship caliber team. You got to have some level of success running the ball, you know, and I think that's the biggest key to this team being successful, because running the ball, sustained drives, it helps you pick up short yardage, it helps you in the red zone, and it helps keep your defense on the sideline drinking Gatorade and getting stronger, and it takes the other offense out of rhythm. That's a very impactful thing. And people forget that, because now this league is more of a high flying, throw it up. Now that you can't touch the receiver past 5 yards, you can't bump and run past 5. And it's so, so versed to be in the offense's favor. You know, but now running back is coming back in style with Fournette and Zeke Elliott, Todd Gurley getting drafted pretty high, Melvin Gordon, you know, guys of that nature, Saquon Barkley. The league is starting to, go back to running the ball, because you got to run the ball. You know, but people forget the Lions not being able to run the ball, not being able to sustain drives, being behind, you know, and finally turning on the burners after, you know, in the fourth quarter and trying to run down the other offense. That's been too much of the narrative for the Lions for the last few years. You know, a quiet, inconsistent offense for the first three or 2.5 quarters, and then they come back and try to march back from behind and start getting aggressive and throwing the ball downfield. You know, that's what it was. It's a very deceptive stat, some of them offensive stats, especially in the scoring. You know, we've seen all too often Matt Prater, you know, and way back when, Jason Hanson come onto the field kicking 50 and 40 and 45-yard field goals, when, in fact, the Lions should have been scoring touchdowns. You know, that is a fact. People forget Jim Bob Cooter and the sorry play calling that he been calling in the rounds and play it safe and calling third down passing plays that should have been called on second down. They barely getting the first down, or Golden Tate getting the first down, running behind the third down marker, and we having to punt. People forget, man, the Lions punted way too often over the last few years. Way too often. And that, you know, you scoring 26 points in a game, that don't mean nothing when you coming from behind. A lot of those stats are padded and coming from behind, especially the Panthers game last year, coming from behind. The Arizona game, they didn't turn it on to the second half. It's too many games we see every year where the Lions come from behind and then they start, you know, going for broke and don't have nothing to lose and come back and make it a competitive game or come back and win the game. You know, and if you were able to run the ball, you know, that will solve a lot of the problems. And I understand the defense has its issues. And I'm not going to lie. Before Nada went out last year, you know, I think it was the Minnesota game or after the Minnesota game, this defense was one of the top defenses in the league. You know, Case Keenum, like I said, he came off a fire game versus Tampa Bay, and he barely scored. any points. Like I said, if Miles Kilbur would have caught that touchdown. But after Nada went down, this defense totally changed. You know, hopefully Sylvester Williams from the Tennessee Titans, who's a big run stopper, can, you know, succeed Nada and be that run stopper, you know. I'm not saying that the defense doesn't have any holes, you know. I'm not saying that. Not at all. I think the defense has a lot of holes. Plenty holes. You know, especially in the front four. In linebacker position, potentially can be in holes. But what I'm saying is, running the ball kind of covers for all that. You know, it grinds down the clock. It preserves the lead. It helps in short yardage situation. It helps on the goal line. It helps in the red zone. It helps Matthew Stafford to not only increase the points, you know, from 26 to 30 points a game, because he had bigger windows and less single coverage, because they had to drop 8 and 9 men in the box potentially to stop Blunt, Kerryon Johnson, Theo Riddick, or Amir Abdullah. You know what I'm saying? You know, so people tend to forget about that aspect of the running game. The running game is very impactful. You've seen it with the Dallas Cowboys. When Zeke Elliott wasn't out there running the ball successfully, the passing game went down. The defensive deficiency showed up on the stat sheet and on the film. You know, that running back position may be the second most impactful position in the NFL right now. And they trending again. You know, with teams picking Todd Gurley high, Zeke Elliott high, Leonard Fournette high, Christian McCaffrey high. This year, Saquon Barkley, Melvin Gordon, you know. Even Dalvin Cook was having some success last year. Now you're seeing these teams making running backs fashionable again, because they're getting back to basics. They know how the running back position could cover a lot of deficiencies up, man. It covers a lot of deficiencies up once you do it successful, you know. And you gotta look at that, man. You gotta look at that. And that's the biggest problem the Lions got. And I stand by that. I've seen it too many years where the Lions didn't have a 1,000-yard rusher. And a 1,000-yard rusher not even good enough. You want your running back to be 1,300 yards, at least somewhere that deep in it. You know, and the Lions haven't had that in a long time. I understand the defense is an issue. You know, I do. You know, but the defense wasn't the biggest issue last year. The biggest issue was the simple fact the Lions could not run the ball. And that, you know, trickled down to Stafford. He was going 3 and out. He was having to throw in double, triple coverage. You know, when he go 3 and out, the defense got to continue to go on the field. And they tired. So that's just my opinion. Happy Independence Day, 4th of July. Everybody be safe. Don't drink and drive. And don't do a Jason Pierre-Paul and blow your finger off with firecrackers. And get ready, I guess, to gear back up for the work week. Or if you got a short vacation, enjoy that. But if you need to follow us or get in touch with us, we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. All those links or usernames are in the description. It's Motor City Sports Talk. And I definitely appreciate everybody listening, sharing, and subscribing to the videos, man. Much blessings. And hopefully some more sports talk coming a little bit later today. And let me know how y'all feel about this topic. Like I said, the number one problem for me is the run game. And let me know what y'all think about the situation. Y'all know what it is. Your boy's a good fellow. We gone.